Matt, we're getting set for UFC Fight Night Vegas number 4 coming at us from the Apex facility. This is the last one before the promotion moves over to Abu Dhabi, coming at you from Yas Island, the Fight Island. And Matt, we had a late notice cancellation as it was looking like Canada's Kyle Nelson was going to be taking on a really tough out in Sean the Sniper Woodson. And it just so happened that on Monday night, we profiled this fight. We were just about to release it last night when all of a sudden Kyle Nelson, out of the bout, could not make it to the States due to visa issues. So in steps a familiar face. And if your mom knows anything about rap, she probably knows Juicy J from Katy Perry. But this isn't that Juicy J. We have the third stint in the UFC from none other than Julian Juicy J Erosa. And again, Matt, fight fans might be familiar with Julian Erosa. He came in on season 22 of The Ultimate Fighter, which brought us some names like Jason Soares, Mehdi Baghdad, Artem Lobov, the GOAT, Marcin Rotzek. Billy Quarantillo was also on that season, but so was Julian Erosa. Loses to Artem Lobov, has the distinction of getting knocked out by Artem Lobov on The Ultimate Fighter. Comes up, wins over Marcin Rotzek, and then it's a loss to Teruto Ishihara, which was somewhat predictable, but he's out of the UFC. He comes back from Contender Series 2018, knocks out Jamal Emmers, then it's a quick loss against Devontae Smith. He gets knocked out, loses to Grant Dawson, loses to Julio Arce. What are we going to get out of Julian Erosa? I can't honestly tell you, but the one thing that I can tell you is that the guy that's going to be opposite of him in the cage, I think has a legitimate shot at cracking the top 15 in this division, and he has had a very brief time in the UFC. And I'm talking one fight against Kyle Bachnier.
That's such a hot take.
Everything I've seen out of Sean Woodson tells me that if he can keep his weight at 45, he has a chance to go far. Now, I'm not saying that, he's going to be a future champ someday, but I will say that he has a really good shot. I mean, this is a guy that has very, very crisp boxing. If he can just bring in that weepy, long, looping leg kick that we've seen him use a little bit, backed up by the credentials that he's a 46-3 amateur boxer before switching it into MMA. Again, I think he has a long career ahead of him. I think this is going to be a marquee win for Sean Woodson. And all of a sudden, oh, by the way, they're popping this one up on the main card, which is kind of crazy.
Okay, I agree with a lot of what you said about Sean Woodson. I think you need to calm down, a lot, though. It's really hard to say if a guy's going to be in the top 10 of one of the best divisions.
15.
Okay, sorry, even the top 15. At 145, Shane Burgos is barely in the top 15 anymore after those rankings came out.
That's the ranking scandal, though.
I'm just saying, Shane Burgos is so good, and he's barely ranked right now. And Bryce Mitchell's not even ranked. You can see what he's able to do to a lot of these guys. Sean Woodson, I think, does have a very good career ahead of him. I just think right now, with only 7 fights to his name as a pro, it's a little early to tell. Now, is he going to beat Julian Erosa? Of course he's going to beat Julian Erosa. Julian Erosa's striking defense isn't just bad, it's terrible. And you go back to some of his fights, and we had kind of talked about this. He reminds me of Charles Rosa if he was a lot worse, though. Because Charles Rosa and him have a little bit in common. Very kick-heavy attacks. He kind of has the stand-up of Ryan Hall. He just throws a little bit more hands, but he's not afraid to throw a lot of those kicks in there, too. He just doesn't have that, deadly jiu-jitsu that Ryan Hall does. I think Sean Woodson's going to run away with this fight. This would have been my lock, whether Kyle Nelson was fighting or not. I think Sean Woodson's going to be able to get it done. So I'm going to pump the brakes on the whole Sean Woodson's going to be the GOAT, but I do think he's going to be able to get it done.
This might be a little surprising because, again, I still have the notes from the other night. Sean Woodson at the time was a minus 240 favorite. Nelson coming in a plus 195 underdog. Out of the few sites that have odds on this one, Sean Woodson is a minus 460 favorite average. Erosa coming back plus 345, and the line shifted even further in favor of Woodson. If you go over on Tapology to 619 votes, 89% going with Woodson, 11% for Erosa. And again, if you can get the combinations on the feet, if he can work the takedown defense, and if he can at least set up his hands with his kicks, I think he has a really good shot at getting the win. Another thing about Sean Woodson is the combinations, but also the fact that he's almost an ambidextrous fighter where he can land a couple shots with the right hand, switch into a southpaw stance, land a couple of nice right jabs, hit him with a left hook, and then swap back over. He does a lot of things very well on the feet. It's just the worry is, does he become a Cole Miller in this division, which you really hope that he doesn't, as a super long fighter. Because if you look at Sean Woodson, he's 6'2", 6'3", with an insane reach. So he's going to have that over a lot of his opponents. Julian Erosa, already one of the bigger guys in the division as well. I mean, you might be surprised to find that one out. It should be a really interesting fight. But again, like you said, this is probably one of those locks on the card.
Oh yeah, 100%. Sean Woodson kind of reminds me of a Jeff Neal. He's not as compact with his shots though, just in the way that their stand-up is. Because Jeff Neal, he has that really high guard, just kind of marches forward, throws those single power shots. Woodson does have a little bit more open of a stance, but just in the way that they kind of have the strike selection. The only thing I would like to see out of Woodson going forward, though, if he upped his volume a little bit, I think he'd have a lot more success and be able to get guys out there a little bit early. We saw that with, for instance, Yair Rodriguez at the start of his career. He would just kind of throw a crazy technique, and then he'd kind of wait a little bit, then do it and kind of wait. And then as he's progressed throughout his career, he's really upped that volume along with those crazy techniques. And I'm not comparing Yair Rodriguez to Sean Woodson. He's much better, of course, right now. But as Woodson progresses in his career, I think if he did up his volume, he's going to have a crazy amount of success in the UFC.
Well, Matt, it's definitely a really interesting matchup. Glad that Sean Woodson is still on this card, taking on a guy that a lot of people might recognize, including your mom, with Julian Erosa. So, with that, we're really looking forward to an interesting card. We've got an extended preview of Dustin Poirier and Dan Hooker. You're not going to want to miss that. Matt, as we always say with Fight Night Picks, let's get into it.